Whose background?
Doc.
Good evening, party people. It is Friday night, and you are joining Relationship Flow Sip and Chat. Sip and chat on this holiday weekend. So, for a lot of people, it's a holiday, and it is definitely a weekend. It's a Friday night, and we are sipping. Got my sip, and we are chatting. Tonight's conversation, we are talking about who is responsible for keeping us happy in our relationships. So we need to go around and do our check-in as we always do. So we got to give our shout out to Doc. Doc, how you doing tonight?
Hey guys, I'm good. And I am sipping on some Riesling tonight.
Okay.
Mm,
Okay.
Yeah,
different.
Okay, Riesling.
a little different.
Yes, because
Different
last
ways.
week you was like, let's see where I want to go next. I'm gonna go to the Jersey side of things. She like,
Jersey.
now we coming Jersey in the house. I'm gonna go ladies first in Jersey. Miss Payne, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. But let me just straighten out the record first. I'm Jersey. I'm
Okay.
Philly bred. Philly bred, but
Really
Jersey
glad.
I am. But tonight I'm telling a secret, but I am drinking some tequila. And it's my man's. He doesn't know it, but The Rock has his own brand of tequila.
Yeah.
So I'm drinking that with a little bit of lemon.
Okay, with a little bit of lemon. What's the lemon do for it?
It breaks the taste.
Okay.
To take that second and third shot if need be.
Okay. Oh,
Okay.
okay. All right. So I'm gonna flip it down to the other side of Jersey, only because our resident, she be all over the geographical planet, But I'm gonna go to the other side of Jersey. Daryl, how you rocking with us tonight? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Got
Okay.
the cup.
And you a little frozen.
Yes.
You got your cup of your healthiness with us.
Yeah, some lemonade. So it's gonna be a wild night.
We accept and embrace your wild night of lemonade. Always. Always. Thanks for rocking it out with us. And Camp, we gotta respect your rocking it out on the byways and highways. Where are you representing and what are you sipping?
Well, back in PA, but
Oh,
I'll just say I'm universal right now. But
okay.
I'm in Pennsylvania now.
And you rocking Aquafina?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm representing the holidays with some nog nog. I would say it's eggnog, but
I love eggnog.
it's some nog nog.
Mhm.
It's some nog nog going
What
on.
makes it nog nog?
It's not just the eggnog. It got a
Right.
little spices going on, with some cousins of Malibu and cousins of 18, and I got some cousins and friends going on in there because I guess this holiday usually kicks off my birthday celebration. So, it just is what it is.
What
Is that
Some
is that
eggnog.
is that coconut 18 or just the regular?
Is there another way?
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
I'm making sure.
Yes.
big girl panties on tonight?
I mean, I usually rock with coconut 18, but
That's what I was thinking.
yeah, I'm a coconut girl.
Oh,
So tonight's conversation, as we shared, is my partner responsible for keeping me happy in our relationship? And who maintains the balance and sanity in our connection, peace, and love? So this could go a whole bunch of different ways. Like when you think about just relationships and how it is that you meet people. But who wants to take a stab at it first?
well, the first thing I want to say is, Mary, I'm sure you've heard many, many times
I
in
have
a
coffee too.
session that my partner doesn't make me happy.
Uh-huh.
So I know you've heard that many times. It's often the reason for the end of a relationship.
True.
My partner no longer makes me happy. So the question that I often throw back out there is, are you happy within yourself?
Very true, Doc. And that's usually like the opening, what brings you in? Like when you working with a couple and you say, what brings you in? And they'll say, well, my partner doesn't make me happy any longer. And you like, well, what do you mean they don't make you happy any longer? Like, what has changed? What brought you to this point? And why is it that they no longer make you happy? Like, what was it what was the happy? And what
Yes,
was
you
it
want
that
to know
brought
what
you guys to being attracted to each other from the beginning?
Yeah, and you also want to know, what changed, or what do you think changed? Because they'll often have two different stories about what has changed.
Right.
Sometimes what changes is the other person stops saying yes and start putting their foot down and saying no.
Right.
That happens, yes.
Right.
And sometimes when you really unwrap it, nobody changed. The person just got tired of the stuff that they thought was cute in the beginning. Just like you say, Joya, they'll just be like, this was okay before, but now they no longer like that behavior or that attitude or that belief system.
I'm just thinking about how last week we talked about, have you outgrown your partner? And from that conversation, this question came up. So it's like they go hand in hand in the sense of, who's like, how do you put this type of responsibility onto someone else? And is this responsibility outside of yourself? Like, is this an externalized choice or task that should be given to someone else? Like, does somebody else have total responsibility to your self-esteem or to you being actually, here we go with the cards, to it actually you being happy or within yourself?
I think most people believe that. And I think it warrants some discussion, like, where does that core belief come from? Most people, or I don't want to say most, a lot of people believe that once you're in a relationship, your partner is supposed to make you happy, whatever that means to you.
Well, and sometimes this is the belief that some people make it their goal to make you happy. On a person. So if a person is really going to be with you and that's their goal, they'll do anything to make you happy. They don't care what it is, even if it's they have to sacrifice something for themselves or their other goals they had before you, whether you're married or not, in certain relationships. And I think that's something. I don't know. I've gotten it out of my head a long time ago, but some people make that their goal in life. Period.
What do you mean they make it their goal?
Well, I know if you've been with somebody for a while and you just want to see them thrive, sometimes you'll take a back seat, and what you have going on for yourself personally is not that goal anymore. Your goal, sometimes you're like, I want to see this person win in life, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, and you're that support system, whether it's like doing the marketing, or it's like a personal goal, having them finish school, you helping them pay for school, whatever goal they got, you on the train with them to the end, and you're that support person. And sometimes I feel like that goes unappreciated at times, but some partnerships are like that. For example, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I look at LeBron and his wife, for example. She got pregnant in high school. She's that support system. She runs the household. She raises the kids. She has great ideas. They do a lot of giving back. They do a lot of fundraising, and she's there for every single important thing ever in his life. But you don't, and she's still there. But you don't really always find that longevity in terms of that type of support. It just depends. Depends on how you raised, where you from, what's your ideal of support or goals, or that makes the family work. So every institution or relationship is different.
But Okay, so I was going to go right into the celebrity status of LeBron and his significant other, but I think that would be unfair.
Gotcha.
Before because that's gonna probably take us somewhere all
Different.
the way to a different direction
Yeah.
before we actually truly go into, are we really attracted to somebody because they make us happy and that they have the same things that we're interested in, or are we attracted to people who have different interests and we're interested in those things, and then we try to intrigue them to be interested in some of the things that we're interested in, and then create that balance on the differences and the similarities?
That's a good question.
We had to have some lemonade on that one. What y'all think?
That's heavy.
Is it?
Well, okay, I would say
I know I can be an A-type personality, but I'm not an A-type personality all the time.
Right. So,
but I know that a B-type personality is not who I'm attracted to, because if I could boss somebody around all the time and you're always going to tell me yes, then I'm going to get bored all the time.
Correct.
Because if you're always going to tell me yes, then you're not going to keep me interested. Like,
that's the example I was thinking of.
You said that's the thing right there?
I said that's the example I was thinking of. I was waiting for somebody else to answer, but that's the example I was thinking of, because it's something I see often, you know? Yeah, you get that person who's so invested in, quote unquote, making you happy, they start ignoring their own selves and their own lives, and all the things that attracted you to them are gone. And then you're like, I'm out of here. This is not what I want.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem. When someone loses their self by else, now you're doing you're you know, but you're not good things. I personally, that bothers me when a person just gets all involved in my life. They don't have anything that I get involved in of theirs. Like
where is the boundaries? Like, can you go live your life?
Yeah. Yes. I know I'm attracted to somebody with hobbies and goals of their own.
Yeah. Because I want to
what you into my space, like what I'm working on at the moment.
I want to also be your cheerleader as well, right? I want to help champion things that you're doing. Like, I want to support you in your whatever you're doing as well. And if you just support me, and then your whole life support me, then that doesn't really work for me.
Yeah. I think some people. Go ahead, Daryl.
They just need to have their own identity as well.
I was going to say that I think that some people are afraid of having their own identity in a relationship.
Yes,
very true.
Or they get lost in the other person's identity.
Like, or intimidated.
Yeah, I have a big identity. I do a lot. There's a lot going on. So sometimes it doesn't allow. If you don't let it doesn't allow the other person to do. But I'm like, no, please do what you're doing so I can do things with you as well. Because not on everything I do. I do 1,000,001 things. So if you jump on my train, you're not gonna have much room for your own. But then I want you to have room for your own, you know. But I can't remember to tell you to do something that I don't know you're not doing, because I'm, you know.
So, and one of the key words that somebody will say when they're trying to get to know you is they'll say, "Oh my God, you're so busy. You don't have time to meet up for coffee or go to the movies or, you know, do anything that I want to invite you to." Or they get so consumed in them trying to introduce something, but they think that you're so busy, and it's not that you're so busy.
Right.
They haven't presented something that was intriguing to you, or they felt so intimidated that they didn't even offer what it was to allow you to say, "Oh, well, let me see where that can fit." Oh, Doc, what's those eyebrows?
Yeah, they went up.
Oh, sorry.
They went like.
They was like.
No, I would say even in friendship, I had somebody who was trying to be friends with me. We were fine. It's like a business tip, but they were like, "When do you have time for me as a friend?" I'm like, "What you mean?" "Well, you always at work." "Yep." You always have kids. Yep. When I call, you're asleep. Yeah. So depending on what you're talking about, I can fit it in, but I have a structured schedule. I have flexibility to move things around, but where is it going? Even in friendship, what do we have in common? So it's kind of like
well, I don't know. Sometimes you grow friends too, man.
you said what?
About grow friends sometimes.
You do.
You know, like
And you have friends who intentionally want to be a distraction. Like I had someone, April, why you do that head to the side?
I'm just like, why would someone want to be a distraction? But that's
I had somebody that intentionally was like, oh, you really working on this whole business idea. And then when they saw that I began traveling internationally and working my business plan the way that I had intentions on it developing, they called and said, congratulations, because I really wanted you to use all of that energy that you did to become successful in the way that you have to put towards my business and not to do towards yours.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Honest, you know, everybody don't want to see you. Sometimes
wait, what'd you say, Daryl?
Everybody doesn't always want to see you win.
Right.
You know,
right.
That's true.
People feel like you're leaving them sometimes. Your success is they feel like you're leaving them in your success.
Right.
Because they're not and they're stagnant.
Right.
Sometimes your friends, we've been there. You see, friends can be sometimes the worst supporters of you.
But they don't understand. They really don't sometimes.
Yeah. But things get crossed up too, though. If they're like Daryl was saying, if they're always on your train supporting you and they don't have anything else going on, then things get kind of muddled because now they're always screaming out for your attention because they don't have anything going on for themselves.
Yes.
Right.
Living by character.
That becomes a problem. Like, oh, you, like Mary said, you don't have time for me. You can't do this for me and that for me. But if you had some of your own stuff going on,
right, we're gonna be in the middle. Like, trust me, if we have something in common and we have the intention that our chemistry is saying that we can connect and we can do some things together, and if it's meant to be, that we will find the space. If I'm listing out what my schedule is, or I'm listing out the things that are important to me, I'm not excluding you. And I'm not saying that you have to overpower and say what it is, like how it is that you want to fit in. But you're saying that it has to be on Tuesday. Don't make it that it has to be on a certain day. This is the thing that I would like to do. Can we talk about when it can fit and be flexible? As opposed to it didn't fit in your rigid mindset, and then therefore you're not happy because the person never puts it in your only one way thinking of how it can make it work.
Right.
I mean, I think you gotta kind of sometimes nip that conversation in the bud too. Like if a person's like, "Hey, you don't got time for me," I gotta let you know the margins of this relationship, right?
The margins, Carol.
I just had this conversation.
We're talking finance.
He kept calling me like, "Yo, what's going?" I'm like, "Listen, we're different right now. Our friendship. This is what it looks like now. I have things I need to do, and I can't just hang out with you all the time because you're not doing anything." Yeah. Yes, exactly. I adjust the margins on a regular basis to let people know where it is so we could be on the same page. And then once I tell you, I told you, so I don't feel bad about anything at that point. I let you know where we're at. Because people will stress you to death, calling, texting, and hey, I can't. I can't. I'm trying to do this right now. My focus is here. You feel me? If you're a true friend, either you would understand. We'll get back together when we can, right? I don't have to talk to you every day. We might not go talking, then we talking. It's nothing. We know that we're doing something.
Yeah, and it can really wreak havoc on a relationship, even if you accept the responsibility of being the person to make someone happy. It either way, it could mess with your self-confidence, or it may show a lack of self-confidence. You know, you might not be confident enough to just kind of do your own thing, and your partner might not be confident enough to say, look, you need to be doing something else.
Right.
Gotcha.
Because and then you know, like if you said with that emphasis of love that you just shared, depending on the
Well, I didn't say get a life.
you didn't.
Oh, yes, you can. Oh, I'm
You
sorry.
you
You need to take life. You need to do something, right? You have to. You know, you have to tell them. I tell people all the time, you can't just go. You can't run my show. I can run my show. You need to have your own thing to do so that I can do with you. Like, I don't want to just do, because if I'm doing what I want to do all the time, it kind of said it's kind of like boring. It's only half a, you know, that person needs something. You need something to do that I can join you. It just gets really weird after a while. Like,
Weird.
we're doing what I'm doing again. Like, so
let's go back to when you met the person, and it was something about how you originally magnetized and was interested in even having. Go ahead, Daryl.
Well, I would say, you know, in the beginning, it's a little different. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you guys are going out, you're learning each other, you're having these conversations because everything is new, right? So now we're past that, and now we get into the humdrumness of life. You know, we're living our day to day, and that new spark is not there. You know, like I said, I know, like me, it's every day is working out, volleyball. I'm doing stuff all day long, you know, boom, boom, boom. And you can come watch me play volleyball, you can come watch me work out, and we'll do it every day because I do it every day, right? And this is what it's going to be, 365. You know what I mean? It's what I'm going to do. And if you don't have anything to take me away from that, then this is what we're going to do.
Right.
And becomes, and sometimes to me, I'm like, wow, I wish there was something else to do. But this is all I know, right? So I'm doing all I know. So it's comfortable for me. So if you continue to do what's comfortable for me, then this is what we'll do. And they'll start saying things like,
For sure.
okay, all right. So I'm just saying that I just want them to have something of their own to do.
I mean,
like you have you find stuff and you're like, what is this a loose screw? And then
So what do y'all think make people afraid of stepping outside of their relationship once they're partnered up to kind of build their own lives? What do you think that comes from?
they think they're gonna get left.
It sounds so much. That sounds like it's like they're making a sacrifice, or that they're abandoning the relationship versus like authentically just saying, how do I find myself in this relationship to having, hi Doc's friends.
Hi.
cousins, how you doing?
All right. How do I, and Doc, I don't mean, Dr. Carissa, I don't mean to take away from your question, because I think that people still need to answer that question, but also, like, I think that they think that it's a sacrifice, that if they do something, then they're abandoning their relationship, versus the fact that they're not looking at how they've already abandoned the identity of themselves, being present to themselves as well as being present to the relationship.
Or is it something like, is it easier for them just to kind of, it's easier for me to support someone than to have my own thing, right?
Yeah.
My own identity. That's what I got to think about. What do I want? What do I like? How do I start that? How do I go about doing it? But he's already doing it. I'm just going to champion what she wants. It's easier to jump on that train sometimes.
It is.
Thing. You know, it is.
But I might not like volleyball.
Yeah,
You don't
but
like it today. No.
like watching me play. You know what I mean? Then they'll just sit there and watch me play because they like me playing.
It's definitely about compromise. And it has to build some reciprocity.
You're saying it's about compromise, but we're talking about a situation where one person is just doing what the other person wants. It's not even, not, it's not a compromise in it. This other person, they feel like they just.
What happened, Daryl?
Daryl got frozen. So I think beyond the compromise, it is, yes, it's compromise as far as how the partnership works together, but also figuring out what the identity is and how that individual can have their own individual self too. So that it's not that they're being consumed by just the partnership, but also having that individual responsibility to themselves as well.
Gotcha. But don't people have these conversations at the beginning though?
Most people don't.
What they have going on?
Most people don't.
I guess my situation was different. Like you said, most people don't. So we had these conversations. So we decided to do a weekly date night every Thursday. I don't care what was going on. We had a date night every Thursday at the same time, and it worked for us. Because it was just like, I love you, but sometimes I don't want to watch the play card. I want to be at home chilling with my Netflix or my movie or my delivery order that I order, my food. I just want to do nothing. So just like an example. But yeah, I think that was a compromise that worked.
What were you going to say, April?
I was going to say, I think compromise worked, but I think also we have people that enter into relationships where they feel like they're designed or they were purposed to be the wife, which means become submissive or, to complement their partner, whether it's, in the role of a wife or the role of the husband, which is the provider. So I think sometimes, again, we come into relationships with already preconceived ideas of roles of what we're supposed to play. And we play those roles, not knowing that we haven't identified our own happiness, but we were trained or raised to believe that, you're supposed to take a wife, you're supposed to take a husband. And so we don't know what our happiness is. So I think there's a group of people or whatever the numbers are statistically that really enter into relationships like that and don't know how to identify their own happiness or how to make themselves happy.
Let gender roles dictate.
Go ahead, Daryl.
I'm not saying they're kind of letting gender roles dictate.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And I'm thinking about the later part of this comment here where it says constantly working and growing. The work to grow, to do something better is where they end up coming to see someone like Doc and I, that it becomes very challenging in the sense that they're tired at that point or they're exhausted and there's like, why do I have to do all of this to figure out what the compromise is? Or why do I have to figure out through therapy or through a third person how it is that I'm going to interconnect how to create peace in my house? Or how to create communication in my relationship that's going to create that balance where I'm not willing, like where we have willingness to work it out together, or where we have willingness to realize, okay, that there's a disconnection between the two of us that's impacting who's happy and who's not.
Yeah. So I like to chime in on that. My name is Jamila. And
Camilla.
Camilla.
Hi. And so I've been married for 23 years. So I can chime in on what I actually done and what I actually discovered. I discovered that my husband, I didn't marry him for him to make me happy. I had to find that within myself. And he was supposed to be an addition to my happiness. So when we had our times of growing out of each other, we actually did an exercise, and it was my idea. I told him to get out 30 days.
Told him just like that?
Yeah, 30 days. He moved with his uncle for 30 days, and he allowed me to find out who I was. And I own everything. And that was our way of not getting a divorce, but for me to find out who I am and who he was without each other. And when we did, so what I did was I took a 5th grade picture and put it on the kitchen refrigerator. And every day when I got up, I remember who I was before him. And I started layers off of, over the years that was hurtful because we was hurting each other at one point. I said, who was I? So I identified who I was without him. And same thing. And then we started dating each other.
Okay.
Like boyfriend, because we forgot what really brought us together.
Yeah.
We used to go out once a week to dinner, date night, and that kind of was getting left on the side. And I think that's something that to a relationship, you got to continue to do those things that bring you two together. It's that it can happen so quick, So
Great. Yes.
we have a respect for each other. Where when we disagree, because as y'all know, you're going to have disagreements. Whoever started the argument, they have to leave the house of their choice, go away for an hour, and you come back. And when you do that, you end up not saying things that you can't take back, and then act collective and talk about what it was that y'all had a disagreement about in a civil matter. Yeah, it works. So as soon as we started, we point to the door. Go see your family, whatever. And I'm sometimes I started and I know I excuse myself. I go to my girlfriend's house and then I come back, and that way we can calm down. Now we can talk about it without screaming and hollering because we wasn't even hearing each other.
Right.
We was doing it. So, and our relationship has been stronger ever since. And we just started doing that about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Nice.
Yes, that's a great experiment. And it's something that a lot of people would be afraid to do. They'd be afraid to take on that challenge. They'd be so scared that their partner going to run away with somebody else.
Absolutely.
But you know what? You have to trust y'all love and y'all.
Yes.
Yeah. And if I'm like this, whoever God put together, can nobody put you under. And
exactly.
That's the fact. And it was like, wow, like you really living by yourself. And I was enjoying myself. I found content with myself, but at the same time, I was missing him. But I know that I had to stay strong for us to be able to last, for a long term, term sacrifice for a long term. And some years with somebody, that's a long investment.
That is a long investment.
That's right.
He loved me enough not to do something that he would regret while he was out there, and he had to trust me that I wouldn't give up on us. So that was just my experience, and I just wanted to say that we've been fine ever since, and that's our rules now. Whoever started argument, they have to leave.
That's old school.
That's definitely old school, but I appreciate you sharing and somebody put in the comments the wisdom of you all knowing what is going to actually work best, for the two of you all, and you guys having that relationship to even get to that place of communication.
Right.
I do have a question to follow up. Like, how did you come to the place of even knowing that would be the best thing? Like that 30 days was going to be enough, and that the separation in the absence, because it didn't sound like you needed a catalyst of going to someone for someone else to set up that structured separation for you or with you.
Well, my thing was, who knows my marriage better than I do? And I just feel that I didn't want to divorce this man because I love him and I know he loved me. And I told him if he loved me enough, he would let me have his time, find out who and figure out who I am. And I expect him to do. And we wanted a week. We know we're supposed to be in, but in 30 to 40 days. And I told him it's not going to be no time on this.
Look at his face.
Come back home the second night. Now, like, that's I haven't even started that. We don't know who we are.
30-day hall pass.
30 days.
No
hall pass.
30 to 40.
That didn't sound like a hall pass.
Hall pass.
We gotta interpret it our own way.
You can interpret it however you want to.
But you know,
After 23 years, that's not a hall pass.
Right.
No, it's no hall pass. But I actually had 2 other girlfriends that was having problems in their marriage, and they did the same thing. And I have to say, it worked for them too.
Mhm.
And
Right.
anybody involved in your marriage because it's a two people.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
Mhm.
Sometimes you need 30 days.
Sometimes you need more than 30.
Sometimes you need more than 30.
Okay.
True. True.
No,
Yeah,
sometimes you
Daryl.
Look at Daryl's face.
Daryl, really?
And I know earlier shows that Daryl said that if we need a separation, then we need to have a different intervention. So I understand your face expression, knowing from earlier conversations,
Sorry.
because you said having a break,
Lord.
even from the car of coming home, we need to have a different conversation.
So before I told him to leave, we did go into separate bedrooms. I thought that maybe that was the space we needed.
Right.
That never works.
Mhm.
So
Well, the energy is still in the house, and it's like
Right,
you don't
right.
have access to the energy. So, from the perspective of energy and the universe, like you felt a different address was what was going to work best. And
Mhm.
maybe you guys still had communication throughout those 30 days. It just wasn't under the same roof.
right, and that's why I said we was texting each other, and yeah, at the beginning, when he was upset, he was angry, and he said things, that was hurtful, and then of course I counted back on it, and it was like, okay, well, let's start off with going to Starbucks and have a cup of coffee,
Right.
I heard that.
walk, so that's what we started doing, and then
Right.
that way it was like a different scenery, and the next thing you know, he was like, I would like to take you out on a date, so we went. So we started back getting the basics of what brought us together and what we
Kind of like a relationship.
yeah, we reset the whole
Your
relationship.
relationship needed nurturing. So
Yeah.
you went to, right.
And I'm telling you, we've been like the best we ever been, and we have no problems, and that's our rules. Whoever start argument, they need to leave and go call an hour before we say things we can't get taken back. And
I'm gonna start an argument every Saturday.
Okay.
30.
Girl, you said that before I could get it out.
I'm gonna go. It's 11:30. I'm gonna go.
There's no one way on how relationships can benefit from a reset. So, and it all depends on what is going on in the relationship prior to establishing that a reset, a reframe, or whatever it looks like happens. And for them, the 30 days, and now they have in place whoever starts the argument is the one that needs to leave for the 60 minutes or the hour before coming back, and them having the conversation and going out for a cup of coffee and all the things that they have put in place works for them. It all depends on the relationship and communication that you have put in place between you and your partner, and that you have independently established what makes you happy, both together and independently.
yes, and also too, I think with our relationship, we start, because like you said, your parents and everybody. Okay, you get the husband, you get the wife, and my mom, my father, he was the provider. My mom, she took care of the kids, so I thought that's what I was going to get, but literally, that my husband, the way he was raised, his mom was like 50-50. So our first place together, I'm thinking that he was going to pay majority of the bills. He told me straight up. He said, half of everything. He said, if you don't want, there is. And I said, you know what? I said, okay, he's going to make sure that I'm independent with this. So when I do like to go out with my girlfriends, or I like to go away on trips or whatever, he's not going to question me because he has let me know I'm his partner. It's we have an equal. So he's not going to be telling me where I can't go. I'm not telling him where he can't go. And that's what it worked out. So like right now, I'm over here at my cousin's house. He knows where I'm at, but he's not going to be blowing my phone up because he knows where I'm at and he trusts me.
Right. Doc, what you got?
Pay all the bills. I ain't paying nothing.
But like you said, though, I think that's what it really based on. Who does what? And I think that's where the problem lies at. But like I said,
well, when you talk about who does what, like for example, I was taught, you get married in name only, and the woman actually makes all the decisions. You make him think he's ahead, but you make all the decisions, and you just do you. That's what I was taught. So that's totally different.
You sure, Joya?
Huh?
You sure?
No, that's what I was taught. That's what I saw growing up.
Right.
Like my parents on both sides have been married multiple times, and they're their own person. They married, but they are who they are.
Wow.
Well, Latoya, the way you said that though, I see in a lot of I'm gonna say relationship oriented. Now, I think that's the safest way to say that. Relationship oriented groups on Facebook, that tends to be the conversation when a question like this comes up, that the woman is the one that has to be happy in the relationship and not necessarily the man.
Right.
That's not balanced in any of the relationship. Like if happy wife, then it's a happy life.
Right.
That's not. That doesn't seem accurate in any way you look at it.
Right. So when for example, I'm cooking when I was younger because I got married in my early 20s. My mom would be like, "Oh, you cook? You actually wash clothes?" She knows I hate to wash clothes and iron. You what? You huh? You do all that? I said, but he does it as well. I'm not doing it by myself.
Right.
And she's like, girl, you should just sit down. You work all day. So what are you doing cooking? Because to be honest, I was raised by my stepdad and my dad, but my stepdad drove me to school, picked me up. He cooked, he cleaned, he put us to bed. My mom did a little bit, but he was doing a lot. So I'm not used to in households. I'm not used to seeing like the women do everything. I'm kind of used to seeing like 50-50 or the men do more. So it depends on who you are with in a relationship, I guess. I don't know.
I think is if I cook, he's cleaning. If he cooks,
right.
Yeah. You know, and that's if he wash the clothes, then I'm doing areas of how to put it in. That way nobody's wore out.
Absolutely.
Right. Exactly.
Like you cook, I eat. I
play volleyball, you watch.
Right.
I mess the house up, you clean it. Like
Daryl, you said that for us to laugh. What's the real deal?
I mean, it gotta be balanced.
Yes, honey.
But like girl said, some people can be all encompassing, so they expect that.
Right.
Whether they're a woman or a man.
Yeah.
Depends on who you with.
Absolutely. And that's all that matters. You gotta, as long as your partner's happy. You can't say what's right or I guess you can, but how they make it work, they're making it work. It may not look right to you.
So I want to throw this question out there. Are people connecting their happiness to the wrong things?
I think so.
In a relationship.
Definitely think so.
I agree with that. And the reason is because I think that a lot of people think that, money, and material things great happiness, but that's just for that temporarily. That's just for that moment. After a while, that's going to wear out, and then it's going to be like, what's left? Or what if that person loses all that wealth? Then, what do you have? So I don't think that, I think a lot of relationships fail because of that illusion, and not knowing that it's supposed to be love first. And when me and my dad, we didn't have anything, we built together, and it was just love first. We wasn't going with each other for. That's why I think that a lot of relationships fail because.
When you say that, I think some people connect their happiness to sex as well.
But that's a plus.
Well, I think a lot of. Well, I don't know.
That's not a plus. That's a first. I'm just kidding.
I think a lot of relationships fail because they think they're going to be easy. They think relationships just happen. People don't understand that's a lot of hard work.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work in a relationship, and no one really tells you that. It's not Disney, you don't see the hard work. You get married and it's happening ever after, and these. But I think people don't understand how much work it is to be in a relationship, someone else, to learn their what they like, what they don't like, to balance everything out. Because most time you bring two things together that are really different, and you're trying to make, you bring apples and oranges together and trying to make a pie that works, right? It's really tough at times to bring things together, and people don't understand that.
Orange pie?
Apple orange. Yeah, apple orange. I said apple orange. It's tough. A lot of cheese in it. It tastes good. Okay. But
that's different.
I see a lot of relationships fail because people don't understand that they're not easy. It's going to be tough at times. You got to really be able to stand by your person through the fire and come out on the other side. Are you willing to do that?
Well, I think part of that is not making the other person responsible for your individual happiness.
Amen.
Yeah.
I think people know how to be happy alone, but they don't know how to be happy together.
But no, I think also being alone and happy is not accurate either, because if you look at what we have experienced in this past 8 to 9 months, the aloneness and not being able to connect with other people has been a challenge for people.
I heard that too.
But is the challenge more because you can't do it? Kind of
Right.
Want to do it.
Well, the options have been, when you look at the increase in violence, some of it is because of the need to connect with others. Yeah. When you look at the increase in suicide or death by suicide, is because of the lack of being able to connect with others. When you look at the need or the increase in people cutting and self-mutilation, is because of the lack of connecting with other people and only having the screen to do that with. So it's like people need that touch and connection with other people, and when they don't have that, they begin to not like isolating. They can't go to the restaurant even to talk to people. People don't like going to the restaurant by themselves. I love it. However, other people need to sit at the table with other people. But if you have this lovely special device, no matter who your type of device that you prefer, the one with the apple on the back or not, like, that's a million people you could be talking to.
I can't play volleyball by myself.
Yes, you can.
No. Yeah, I need to. That's tough.
I can play tennis by myself if I go to the right court.
Right.
Volleyball is different. I need people to play. That's tough for me. Like, that really is tough. Not being able to play. I play like 3 times a week, and I really withdraw. Not being. I actually have anxiety now. They're about to stop playing.
Right.
Right now, I'm gonna have to talk to somebody about this.
You're gonna get. Well, you go to my website, and at the bottom of every page there is this thing that says "Schedule with me now."
This session, I already said I'm gonna need one because.
Yeah, okay. I just want to let you know, butterflylovellc.com. I'm plugging. Doc has appointments too.
Ooh, that's a big one.
It is a big one. I'm sorry.
What's the big one? I missed it.
This question I put up there. Rocky avoiding my questions.
That's right.
Does the mental health become compromised or discussed when developing?
Well,
that's 2 different questions.
It is. I was trying to get them all out.
Okay.
Discussed.
She got a combo.
Are we discussing the mental health?
Because we were talking about
relationship with goodness. If your mental health is being compromised by being in a committed relationship, you need to look at who you're in that relationship with.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. I was in a relationship, but I didn't know my mental health was being compromised until I saw the changes in my mood. I was real young, though. I was in college, and the person wanted to marry me. I could see myself with that person being married and everything, but at the end of the day, I was just like, so I was like, something is going on. Do you have something? Like, I was young. That's how I termed it. I was like, because my mood keeps changing. I'm happy when I see you, but when I leave you, I'm sad. Like, and I'm moody, but not like that.
Or you say it when you see them and happy when they leave.
Right. Right. So it was more so like I would have a great day and we'd be talking, we'll be good. But after he left, I'm like, how did that change so quickly? So really loved him. It was just we both And then I looked at his classification or diagnosis, and we talked about it. We stayed together for a while, but then we figured like it was just too much, all encompassing. At that young age, I was just like, I love you, but moving forward, I don't think it's for me to handle in that capacity. So we still remain friends. It just looked different. The relationship is different after that. But that's hard. I think sometimes it's hard to pick up if you're not really zoned into that person or looking at that. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because you can actually take a situation like that, what Camp is describing, and say to yourself, this person really makes me happy because
Right.
when they're gone, I'm so sad and I can't do anything with my life unless they're here.
Right.
Yeah. That could definitely make you form the wrong
type of attachment
reason for getting involved with that person.
Yeah, because it got to a point where he would be at work or be in a class, and I would search for him on campus. Like I don't search for nobody, but at this point, I would search for him on campus. I want to see him, and then he would just show up outside my class. Like, what are you doing here? It's unhealthy. Like
that's what you wanted.
Yeah, that's right. But it was weird. It was like I don't know how to explain it, but it was just at that point, I was just like, something has got to give.
What about times when you're dealing with somebody that got mental health issues, kind of like maybe like a crazy amount of anxiety or something like that, and being in a relationship, or whether you're the person with the anxiety or not, being in a relationship with somebody else can kind of trigger your anxiety because of some of the compromises that you have to make or that you should make in order to be in a committed, healthy relationship.
Okay. That's a big one. I'm older now, so I have gone through some of that. Not to put everything out there, but like me and my husband see things a little differently. He was in the military. I was not. However, I've had uncles and grandfathers and aunts, a lot of family in the military. So they respond to things totally different. Like I would see a situation, be like, oh, that's not nothing. But my dad was in the military too. So over the years, I picked up on things. So we've been in certain places years ago where I've had to talk family members down from situations with the PTSD, anxiety, family members about to lash out at other people that we may not have known, just being from that background. So that's where I'm older now and I know what to do, what not to say, what not to get involved in. And that has, I've learned a lot from that. Even seeing the episode play out in front of me from an older cousin, because I've had family in different wars. You know, you have the Gulf War, like different things, Korean War, like just different things. So I understand it better now. But then I wasn't old enough. I don't think I was old enough to handle it then. But that's a good question because you really have to. But you know what? And sometimes it doesn't develop at the beginning of a relationship. Sometimes you could be with somebody for 10 years and then it develops. So that's different too, I think.
Because I mean, maybe it's less of a like, you don't really look at it like a bad compromise.
Right now, I don't see it as a bad compromise now, but
but back then.
But it could be harmful.
It could be harmful, yeah.
I give an example of my brother. He's passed on, but for years I thought, you know, his ex, I'm sorry, his girlfriend at the time was crazy. And it turns out that and I apologize for using that term, but that was the term that we used at the particular time to define her, because she was just 1 minute she was nice, 1 minute she, you know, and I'll use me as an example. 1 minute she liked me, 1 minute she didn't. She hated my guts for absolutely no reason. But it wasn't learned until later on. We had found out that she was schizophrenic. But And he didn't know until I guess she went off her meds for years, or while they were dating. I guess she was taking her meds, and then she stopped taking them. So then that created the episodes. But he was in love with her and he stuck by her. But at the same time, it caused some problems from him. He became pretty much like an alcoholic, not solely because of her, but it was a trigger. Her behavior was a trigger for him, and it caused so much dysfunction within the family itself. So that's why I say that sometimes, remaining in a relationship like that can sometimes become harmful to that person, the partner, as well as others.
Yeah.
But this is a good question, though. It's a good challenge.
Daryl, you quiet over there.
I know, right? Logan.
It's learning. Learning over
I
there.
thought you were stuck.
Now he's stuck. He's playing stuck.
Well, I'll say this about anxiety. We know that anxiety behaviors can be learned.
Yes.
So if you have a partner who is anxious and not really self-aware and having a difficult time, it can change the dynamic of the relationship. Because your partner can quote unquote catch it.
Yeah.
That's not that's not a clinical term.
Right.
But you can. Yeah, that's what that is.
I just think about the way
but you know what I'm trying to say.
Like the transference of emotion.
Huh?
Not that. But when I think about, I always use a transfer of something, like transfer of responsibility, transfer of emotions, transfer of anxiety. Like I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, because one of the hallmarks of anxiety is that the future is dangerous. Things are going to be bad. And if you're saying that all the time to your partner, they might sometimes latch on to some of that. And in order to make you happy, they'll be doing the same behaviors that you're doing to prevent the bad things.
And they're overthinking it over and over.
And doing what they need to do to talk you down from time to time, So it could definitely, I'll say, change the dynamic of the relationship. And interfere in the partner's happiness.
Definitely. April, what you got? I know you just shared about your family member.
No, I'm just reflecting like that's so relevant, and it makes so much more sense now when I think about my brother and all the different challenges that his relationship have. He's an ideal that's an ideal situation for this topic, honestly. Example rather.
Case study.
Yes.
If we go back to school, we could write a paper on it.
Oh, definitely.
So there was some anxious behaviors.
Anxious and again, clinically, she was diagnosed with schizophrenia and probably some other things, but again, we weren't aware, what those symptoms or those traits look like at that particular time. Again, the layman's term was, oh, she crazy. Yeah.
Off a rocker. Yeah.
Right. And
girl, you changed up on us. What, you ain't going on a date?
Yeah.
It's like I looked away from the screen and came back. You got a new Daryl.
He all collared up.
Okay.
He is
sorry,
frozen.
He's frozen on our end.
Who are you trying
I
to
see him
impress?
moving.
It got hot.
From lemonade?
Back it off.
So what are some of the ways that people can become happy within themselves so that they can be happy in a healthy relationship?
Well, what I learned is you got to kick somebody out for 30 days.
Have some friends.
If
A
that's
friend or two.
What'd you say, April?
I said, if that's what it takes, the 30 days, leaving for 30 days, 30 minutes, 30 days, whatever it takes.
It was the 30 days as well as whoever starts the argument.
Right.
Even for an hour for that particular couple that worked.
Yeah.
You know, that strategy can work at times, and then other times you might need a little bit more muscle intervention.
But it seems like she took that 30 days to figure out herself.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's mention the other thing she did too. She found a picture of an earlier version of herself that when she was happy, and then began each day remembering those happy moments. And I don't know if she said she put it on the refrigerator, but then doing a collage of some sort of those memories to remind herself of who she was when she was at her happiest point, and possibly even engaging in those. And that's great because that will be a visual that if in fact she didn't see, no, let me not say that way. Scratch that comment from the record. If there was a third party that was involved, that would be something that they would recommend. Like, how is it that you can create a visual that's going to prompt and remind you of when you were at your happiest point, and something that you can make reference to every single day at different points in your day. And so if it's on your refrigerator, it's in your bathroom mirror, or somewhere that you pass every single day, that you can see and have affirmation to when you were your happiest self, independent of someone else. And that's important. And that could be a whole bunch of activities that could be shared.
So you got to find who you are, what you like.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you got to find what makes you happy before you talk to somebody else how to make you happy in a relationship.
Have a partner, not a servant.
You have to be able to develop that I'll say let go of the fear of doing it first.
True.
You know, you have to let go of the fear that if I become happy within myself, or if I become more independent, my partner's going to leave me, or my partner is not going to like who I am. So you have to get rid of that fear.
Right. Because they might find you even more attractive. Now that you have something that's not that they're not always feeling compromised by the fact that what they're doing.
Y'all see my grandbaby?
Yes. That they're not always thinking that every time that they're choosing to do whatever it is that their activities, if it's volleyball or playing tennis or going to the gym, I'm just saying, whatever those tasks are that they're enjoying, that they're not feeling in the back of their mind or receiving a text message that is creating resentment, that because they're enjoying them, they now have to figure out and create that balance to fuel you, that you're doing you. And then now when you come home, y'all can talk about and share notes on what it is that you did for the day.
Yeah, so I think that's the first step, getting over that fear, because it's important to have the trust in the relationship as part of your foundation.
Amen.
Where you want to develop so that you're a happier and healthier you for the relationship.
And having that affirmation.
Yes. Yes. And I'm going to say, if you have a partner that has a problem with that, that's another problem.
Amen.
See, that makes me go to my next post I got.
What's your next post?
Bam! If you walk away from a toxic, negative, abusive, one-sided, dead-end, low vibrational relationship or friendship,
I
One.
agree. I
definitely agree with it.
Yes.
Your will be happiness.
that's the first step.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's a good one.
That's a good step.
Mm-hmm.
that is a good step because now you're able to see yourself separate from
Yeah.
inserting yourself into everybody else's stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Freedom.
And it's like, kudos to you.
Mm-hmm.
Very
And when it says friendship, like we think that this only applies to significant other
It doesn't.
relationships, but this really, and Camp, you mentioned this earlier, I believe, and talking about like friends saying you always sleep, or I'm just trying to call you for whatever. And I think that, I mean, I can probably share, and who knows if they catch this on the replay, but whatever. I could probably think of a couple connections that have occurred throughout this 2020 revamping year where conversations have changed differently for long-term and sometimes just, relationships in general where we don't talk about the same things.
Oh.
And I don't necessarily want to talk about some of the things that we've been talking about, or if you could pre-calculate what the conversation is going to be, I don't want to talk about that.
I feel like, girl, the baby's crying. I gotta go.
And see, I don't have no baby crying. I got
right.
Oh, is the water running? Oh, let me.
Yeah, he's a toddler, but yeah, right.
Oh no! Well, hold on. Let me take this call.
Right.
Gotta take the call.
Right. Oh, I forgot I had a Zoom meeting. Sorry.
Oh, can I talk to the rest of the fam? Oh, they sleep. And they do be sleep.
Right. But it's just like, and you talk about outgrowing your partner or outgrowing relationships, or it's a season, a moment, or a lifetime. I say that all the time. And it's not so much that you outgrow certain relationships, but it's just like that long time sitting and talking on the phone. That's the day of the old. It's not that I want to go back and forth texting with you either. You just have to realize that, it's not the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
We living.
Well, if it don't make sense, it don't make sense.
It don't make sense. And if the vibration turns low,
then you don't know my money.
Right. And I need the invoices to go out so that I can keep my lights on.
Because people be wanting to talk, and I like my bills paid. I'm sorry, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I got business.
Right. The invoices is coming through, or I need to create the invoices. And then people be joking, like, don't send me an invoice. Listen, if you talk too long on this phone, it's about to be an invoice. I know my brother used to try to talk to me on Sundays. He'd be like, what is Sunday? Sunday is invoice day. So like if we talk too long, it's about to be an invoice.
And then you have friends who'll call you. They know what you do. But they'll try to sneak the business through a regular conversation. Like, this is consulting. This is not a friendship. This is not a friendship.
What do you think I should do? Is the question.
Right.
What do you think I should
call
do?
1-800.
Well, I need help. I need some resources.
Daryl does fitness in his basement, and he is accepting new clients. That's what you should call. You accepting new people, right, Daryl?
Absolutely.
You accept Cash App and PayPal.
Okay. They'd be like, "Can I get a friendship rate?"
Yeah, I don't do those.
Yeah, no. My service is my service. What is it?
If I charge my mama full price, I'm charging you full price.
Hey, pay me what I work.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where the conversation goes left too, because it's real. It don't be about nothing.
Because then that's not making me happy.
No.
Because if your trauma is gonna be trauma just like the trauma of a client, and I gave you a discount, but you using the toolkit of trauma,
Right.
no, your rate needs to be the trauma rate.
Okay.
You laughing at me, Doc? Saying.
So how do we help people overcome that initial fear?
They need to walk away.
It
So
takes
they can
courage
win.
first.
Well,
Huh?
we
It
know we
takes courage, and they have to recognize it and want to take that.
that's it. They gotta want it. We can tell people all we want. We can
True.
give the advice we want. We can give them the best advice in the world, but if they don't want to hear it or they don't want to accept it, then they're gonna be in that toxic, low vibration, whatever they got.
Imagine yourself in some granny panties.
Oh.
Pull them up.
Oh.
Oh.
Who moved my cheese?
Don't
What is it? Who moved the cheese?
Don't pull the granny.
What you say about the granny panties, Daryl?
No, don't pull them up. Get another pair.
So what are the things that we would tell the person? How do they maintain their balance and sanity and creating their connection and peace?
No, I think you are. I think you are in control of you being happy and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
If you're happy, then I think you can receive things from other people to help you also to add to your happiness, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you're not happy. I don't care what people do. They may not influence you enough to make you happy. See it to be that's positive. If you're just in a bad, bad mood or vibe, so you have to be happy first, and then you can receive it from someone else. I believe.
Okay.
Do you think people being happy within themselves would save a lot of relationships?
Yes, and the most important relationship that they save is the relationship within themselves. I don't see how you can start or continue a relationship with others if you're not happy with yourself.
I would say the same thing. I think it would save. It'll save you maybe some drama, because if you're happy and you can see what's going on, you can make a better assessment of the situation. And you know what? I'm good, and this is really not. I'm gonna go continue to be happy and move on. Instead of being doesn't give you what you need.
Do we need to define what happy is, even though it's an arbitrary word?
Everybody's happy at different things. You know what I mean?
It is an individual thing, but it's like,
I don't know if there's a happy that we can kind of a blanket happiness that we can put out there, because I think it looks really different for everybody. What happy, what you really, or what makes you happy. I think it's very different. But whatever it is, we have to find it in ourselves to make anything happy. I guess we got to be happy, because if we doing something and we're not really happy and we're not giving our all, I don't know how it can work. Hey, why you
Yeah, because when you think about happiness being defined, it looks different from everybody. I mean, I guess my definition would be more peace within. You're comfortable with yourself. You don't need anybody else to validate you. So they could look different. And also, my other happiness, Dr. Pepper and Bluebell ice cream. I'm good. So it looks different for everybody. I'm just saying. You don't have you don't have to tell me anything. You don't have to say anything to me. I'm good. So that's where it looks different.
I have to agree. Happiness is subjective, it's relative to the individuals that's in that relationship. Again, I go back to my example of what some people are taught to be in a relationship, their role as a mother, their role as a wife, to them, that may be their happiness. And to their partner, the other side of it for them to be happy is, yes, I am your provider. This is, and to them, that's their happiness. But for someone like me, like, no, my role isn't just being a mom. My role
Right.
isn't just, so again, it's relative.
And April, you bring up a very important point, because I've also worked with couples who, now that the kids are gone,
And I had
where's my happiness? I'm not,
Right.
you
Right.
know,
Right.
yeah, because your role of mom is not the same anymore.
Right.
So now, what will your happiness be?
Yep.
And when you mention it, I see when children leave the household and they get grown and have their own families or just their own relationships, parents involve themselves in their child's or children's relationship, and it makes them happy. But it causes havoc in their children's friendships and relationships. They don't see a problem with it because they're like, I'm still your mother or father, regardless of how old you get. And I still have a say. And you're like, what? So I've seen that bring drama and other things.
It brings drama because everything in the functioning of the house has always been the children's sports, their recitals, the schedules, who's picking up, who's taking, this child here and everything, who's doing this fundraiser, how we balancing, everything around the children. And it's like, now that the children are away in college has graduated, it's like, okay, so now what? Oh, who are you? You live in this house? Like, we got to go on dates again, or it's just like recreating a new chapter and a new stage in your relationship. And the things that have been developed on what creates making you happy is not necessarily connected to that partner. And it's like, how do you regain that again?
That goes back to the same thing kind of said in the beginning, where instead of you putting everything into what that partner's doing, you put everything into the kids. So your happiness, did you have happiness? Because it looked like you were just living through the children. Because
right. And a lot of people say
your life was like, what I'm gonna do now? That means you really didn't have a life anyway. Your life revolves around children, and that was the problem. That's why now you follow them to college. You up there,
right?
Right,
But people do that. People do that, and they joke about the fact how they gonna pop up on the campus, and the child is like saying, "What you mean you popping up on campus? Like, I'm trying to get away from you. College is like 4 hours away for a reason." And the parent is like, "And I got gas and tolls, and if you calling me and asking me for money to spend on campus, I'm gonna bring it to you." And they like, "Mom, for real? Like, we got Cash App, we got a bank account." Like, you could just transfer it. And they're like, I'm popping up.
I want to see what's
but
going
then
on.
They come for marriage counseling because I'm not happy.
Right.
No.
My kids are going. My husband doesn't make me happy. We haven't been happy for
20
years.
Right.
Been happy for 18 years.
They've been functionally moving about each other and functionally having spreadsheets to communicate the needs of the house, or text messages, group text messages to communicate the functionality, but like not really sitting with themselves. I see Levon is popping in, in regards to having these date nights like weekly and so forth like that, but they have lost sight of that responsibility and that connection to each other. So it's like rebuilding what that truly looks like. And it's not always a percentage of what that looks like, because you should 100% be responsible to yourself and 100% to the relationship of what family looks like.
Right, but when people say the kids come first, I'm like, no, I come first. Not saying you don't take care of the kids, but I have to keep explaining to people, when them kids leave, what I'm gonna do? I have to have my own life, and I have to have a relationship with the husband outside the kids. So I need to foster my relationship with him and myself before those kids. I love them. They love me. They may not like me, but they got their own schedule. They live in their own life.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh, the comment about how does someone have kids with someone and is not happy? A lot of people have kids for legacy in the past,
True.
not because they really want to have kids.
True.
Not for everybody, but just some people.
Right.
Or they had kids because of oops.
Right.
That too. That too.
Right. Tap me on the shoulder and then here we go.
And their life becomes the kids.
Right.
The kids. Yeah. So like we'll revisit this conversation.
Right.
Or they had kids because of oops.
Right.
That too. That too.
Right. Tap me on the shoulder and then here we go.
I think it's a the kids.
Right.
The kids. Yeah.
What'd you say, Doc?
Now I was gonna say that I think that people see it as a radical suggestion when you that too.
Right.
What happened? Oh, I think that people think it's a radical idea when you say that you should put yourself first, even if you have a spouse and kids.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a long time ago, before I became a psychologist, reading Dear Abby. You know how long that must have been.
Yes. I know how old I was.
Right. And someone asked, do your kids, they were asking about a situation in their family. They were like, well, do the kids come first or does your spouse come first?
Mm-hmm.
And Dear Abby said, your spouse comes first, and started talking about the reasons why. And you can imagine saying that people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? You don't put your kids first? Like what's wrong with you? Your kids should be in front of your spouse. But her rationale was that you are raising your kids to leave your house.
Right.
That's your job. To make
just like when somebody comes to counseling, we're preparing them to leave our office and to never come back again, or to come back with a new situation, not to be with us for a lifetime.
Right.
Exactly. So you're doing the same thing with your children. You're raising them to be capable adults that can be on their own. So when they're gone, it's just you and your spouse, unless you choose to leave and be, on your own by yourself. But you are preparing your kids to go into the world and leave you. Mm-hmm. That's what you're doing. So you put your relationship with your spouse first. Mm-hmm. And what we're saying tonight, from what I'm hearing from everybody, is that you make sure that you don't forget yourself in all of this.
Right.
You don't become so engrossed in your relationship that you forget who you are, because if something happens to the relationship, then what?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You still,
you start over.
You start all the way over.
Find yourself in a place where you're starting over.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I have a comment too, like this, when somebody says that we a lot of kids are sadly made by a mistake. To me, I believe that as soon as we don't have protection in our sexual interaction, that's a consent to having children.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not you thought of it that way or not, as soon as you have sexual interaction without protection, that's consent.
Don't be looking all crazy, Daryl.
Right.
You said yes.
You said yes.
I want your baby.
As soon as you your friend, no matter what your belief system is, like you decided that's a possibility that there was going to be a human life that was going to be created after you said ooh ah.
Ooh ah.
Yep. Daryl, why are you so quiet?
Right. After that, you see his eyes.
Having technical difficulties?
Yeah, so I missed half of it. I don't know what was said.
You ain't missed half of it. You came right in as I was saying. I had to make a comment on someone saying that a lot of kids were sadly made by accident. And my comment was that no, once we engage in an intimate act without protection, that we give consent to the fact that a life may be created from this intimate act.
We know this after we get back.
You
We
know
go,
that
we
at
know
the ooh ah.
After
we can't.
You know that at the ooh ah.
She
Listen,
said,
the blood
Come
pressure
on,
from the
Dr.
brain.
GYN. Don't you know at the ooh ah?
Well, can I comment on that? Being someone
Please.
takes care of
Oh, what did I do?
women, part our electronic health record says, was this a planned pregnancy? I mean, I feel that every day. I don't get a lot of yeses most time. I mean, if you fail to plan to fail, but children are a gift from God. So I mean, people may not be trying to prevent pregnancy. They're not intentionally trying to get, but if it happens, it happens. They're open to
Right.
People actually are actively trying to conceive, maybe newly married, they don't have kids, whatever. So what he was just saying is, depending on, I think, the age you are, your relationship status. I mean, people have different reasons, obviously, I guess, for having.
Right.
Someone said something about just having children for a legacy, but I think we are socialized to graduate high school, go to college, get married, have a family, get a job.
Right.
Like, it's
True.
that social that we've all been conditioned to.
True.
Now we're living in a day and time where, you know, we have these millennial, and we're living in a new
A
world.
new time. Yeah.
People are doing what we would not consider traditional, the nuclear family, the mother, father, two kids. People are doing things differently, pursuing careers, starting families at a later time, things like that. But I mean, as he said, having a child is a responsibility. It is a job, and it's all about balance. And what does nature stand for? Nature comes from the word nurture. So in there's no way you can fully nurture other people, pass things on if you're diminished. You have to charge, reset your battery in order to have something to give. It is better to give than to receive, but there comes a point in time when you have to pour into yourself. So it's all about balance.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Thank
Doc.
God.
I actually asked that question as well in my psychological evaluations. If the child was planned, and very, 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 very rarely do I get a yes.
Oh wow, gotcha.
Yeah,
That's interesting because I never asked that question.
I ask it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I probably
been
should.
asking,
I don't even make an assumption. I just don't ask the question.
I've been asked that plenty of times.
Yeah, I ask it when it's needed. I just don't ask the question. But I don't also, I think the people who are joining the conversation later should go back to the beginning of the conversation and see how it is that we got even to that point, because that is a little different than what we were talking about beforehand. And we were being respectful to the fact of the conversation coming up into the comments, because we were talking about, as you see on the screen, if you know, depending on how you're viewing and catching our conversation, is your partner responsible for keeping you happy in the relationship? And we were at the point of identifying or recognizing how being happy is arbitrary, because everybody identifies and defines that differently, and how it is that you maintain balance and the connection in your relationship and peace is also defined differently as well. And we were kind of at the place of really rounding out the conversation and wrapping up, if you will, to, you know, creating that balance and what it is that we will want to offer to you as the people who have been participating in this conversation around how it is that you can responsibly recognize yourself as an individual and recognize yourself and being in connection to someone else in a partnership and in a relationship that is committed, and or as a friendship, because we've talked about how not only in a committed relationship does you being responsible for someone else, but also in friendships as well. So anybody want to comment? And we thank you guys for checking us out. We are here every Friday night in Relationship Flow Sip and Chat.
I'm just going to repeat what we've all said. You know, you have to become happy within yourself, whatever that means for you. So part of that is figuring it out. I mean, ultimately, it's wonderful if you figure it out before you get into a relationship with someone else. But if you haven't, it's not too late. You can still figure out who you are, what you want, what are the things that make you happy within yourself, so that you can be, you know, you could be a real contributor to your relationship and not just someone waiting for someone to make them happy, or someone who feels like they always have to make the other person happy.
I think that I would say kind of we're all going to kind of say the same thing, but you have to know what makes you happy, because nobody else can make you happy. How could your partner even make you happy if you don't know what makes you happy? So no one can come in and make you happy if they can't. So it's up to you. It's your responsibility 100% to make sure you're happy, and then to let your partner know kind of what makes you happy as well. You know, that's only where it can work, I think. If you're not happy, nobody else can make you happy.
I have to agree. And the suggestion or the recommendation to walk away and spend some time with yourself or and away from others, if that's what it takes to do that, or come up with some other alternative to find your happiness, is that ideal.
I guess I would say, just don't be a burlap bag. Just try to figure out who you are, and just
you have to break that burlap bag down.
Yes, please.
Okay. So when I think of a burlap sack, you know how you do what's the game called you play at field day?
The sack, and you go like
the sack race.
Yes, the sack race. So that's the burlap bag you're in. So when I think of a burlap bag, it's like kind of hard sometimes, but they put potatoes in. I just think about just really, instead of being who everybody else wants you to be and playing, just learn who you are, be yourself, and however the race goes, it's not about who's gonna get there first or who's gonna support who first. It's about just really taking the time and working on yourself. And I feel like instead of a burlap bag, you blossom as a flower or whatever that is to you, but you really get to know yourself, because that's when you find out what really makes you happy, or what you can really do for yourself versus somebody else. And then, like Doc said, then you can bring yourself to the relationship if possible. So yeah,
the burlap bag.
In a burlap bag and 30 days away. 30-day break.
You back to your takeaways.
Yeah, 30 days.
The 30-day break, the hour leaving. If you start the argument, then you got to leave out.
It'll be no arguments for me during wintertime when it's cold outside.
Thank you, Jarrell. You and me both. I'm staying right.
I need somebody to warm up too.
You be like, okay, wait, my comment is gonna start an argument. Okay, wait, I'm gonna just go in the other room.
Okay.
Ooh, with them nice summer nights. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Okay, you said you starting the argument in the summer, not the winter.
Just make sure you wear your mask. Just make sure you wear your mask.
Not like that other party you was at.
I know that party you was at. Didn't nobody had no mask on.
The guy to get together.
COVID party. Everybody made it safe. They wanted to do it again. I said no, thank you. I tried my luck once.
That was enough.
Yeah, I'm good.
Right. And Camp has traveled all over America and still got more traveling to do. We definitely thank you for rocking it out with us each and every Friday at 8:00.
Yeah, definitely. But just to make note, I don't be around people like that. It ain't worth it.
I was about to ask.
Oh no, because we just be us.
Okay.
Myself and the kids.
Right now, then.
I said, I see.
Say it again.
I was gonna tell you need a mask on right now, but you say you don't ran in. I guess it online.
Now
You don't know enough about
So yeah, I just would say, and making sure that you are happy in your relationships, like you have to make that decision on what that actually looks like for you. And always, if you need help, Doc and I is always available. Or you can check out our conversation topics. We keep them live in our group, Relationship Flow, for you to be able to go back and check them out. Or you could just, send us a topic that you think of interest, and our panel will definitely consider them. Let me be clear. Consider them.
Again, ain't nobody talk about it.
They will consider them as a topic that we can explore here on the Face of Book. And we look forward to your contributions each and every Friday at 8 p.m. So thanks again, and until next week, we will catch you on the flip side.
Wear your mask and stay in the house.
Yeah.
Wear your mask in the house, sterile.
Well, if you next to some certain people, yeah.
Don't wear COVID.
What'd you say, Daryl, before I hit the button? You know what, Doc?
Wear your mask.
Wear your mask.
Take a shower. Wear a mask. We don't know where COVID is.